Okay, so what if I told you that one of the most famous stories ever told, the Exodus, has a secret, totally different version, and not in some lost text, but hiding in plain sight, right there in the Bible itself? Today, we're going to decode this incredible remix.
Right, because when we hear Exodus, our minds go straight to suffering, right? Plagues, rebellion, a whole lot of desperate wandering in the desert. It's a really gritty human story. But the version we're exploring today, it just scrubs all of that away. It's like a highlight reel with zero mistakes, no complaining, and absolutely no doubt. The story is so perfect, it almost seems sanitized.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Psalm 105 gives us this triumphant, God-focused epic, where the people, well, they're almost background characters in their own salvation story. This is not just a different emphasis, it's a complete rewrite. And the real question is, why? Why would an ancient writer create this director's cut of their own history? That's the big mystery we're unpacking.
To even begin to understand why the psalmist created this remix, we have to go back to the very beginning. And I don't mean with slavery, I mean with the single, unbreakable promise that changes everything.
This is it, the promise to Abraham. For the psalmist, this isn't just a nice opening line, it's the engine of all of history. Every single miracle, every plague, every journey, it's all a testament to God's unwavering, relentless commitment to making this one promise a reality.
So the psalmist frames the entire story like a high-stakes thriller. He establishes this grand promise, and then boom, he immediately shows us one threat after another. The founding family, they're tiny and completely vulnerable. The chosen line is nearly broken when Joseph is sold into slavery. Then the entire nation is enslaved, making that promise of inheritance look like a cruel joke. And even after they escape, the desert itself seems to conspire to destroy them. At every single turn, the promise is on the verge of being shattered into a million pieces.
So how in the world does God overcome these seemingly impossible obstacles? Well, the psalmist's answer is both really simple and incredibly audacious. He rewrites history to show God not just as a powerful helper, but as the master puppeteer, intentionally and precisely pulling every single string. Just look at this subtle but profound shift here. In Genesis, the famine is a passive event. It just happens. But in the psalm, God actively calls for the famine. It's not a natural disaster. It's a deliberate move in a divine chess match. In this version of the story, there are no accidents.
And we see it again here. In Exodus, the people are fruitful. It's a description of what they did. But the psalmist steps in and says, no, God caused that to happen. This isn't just some minor tweak. It's a fundamental reinterpretation of the entire story. The psalmist is making a really bold claim about God's absolute sovereignty and control over everything.
And this idea of divine control, it gets even more intense. The psalmist repeatedly points out that God doesn't just act, he speaks things into existence. He speaks, and swarms of flies appear. He speaks, and locusts descend. His very word becomes a trial for Joseph. It's this breathtaking display of effortless, absolute power. But hang on, how does the psalmist manage to tell this sprawling, epic story in just a few short verses? Well, the answer lies in this really clever literary device. It's kind of like a secret code that unlocks a whole hidden world of meaning for those who are in the know. It's called biblical allusion, and you can think of it like a literary Easter egg. The writer drops a tiny, specific phrase that acts like a hyperlink. For the reader who catches it, that little phrase instantly calls to mind an entire story, flooding the poem with all this emotion and context. Let me show you how it works. The psalmist just casually mentions that the patriarchs were a few men in number. Okay, now to an ancient Israelite, that's not just a description. It's a direct quote from a moment of sheer terror in Genesis, when Jacob believes his entire family is about to be slaughtered. With just 4 words, the psalmist imports all of that fear and danger right into his poem. It's incredibly efficient and really powerful storytelling.
So, we've seen how the psalmist remixed the story. There's this laser focus on the promise, God is the master puppeteer, and he uses these clever literary codes. Now we can finally tackle the big question. Why? What is the point of this flawless, God-centered retelling?
The psalmist brings it all together with this powerful line. Why did God orchestrate a famine? Why send the plagues? Why protect this tiny, vulnerable group against impossible odds? For one simple, profound reason.
He remembered his promise. The whole Exodus epic, in this telling, is one massive act of divine faithfulness.
And that's the central message, right there. Against all threats, despite every single obstacle, God did exactly what he said he would do. This story isn't about the greatness of the people. It's about the unstoppable faithfulness of their God.
But was that the end of the story? I mean, was inheriting the promised land the ultimate prize? The psalmist says, no. There's one final step, one ultimate purpose behind this whole grand rescue mission. And here it is, the final, brilliant twist. God's incredible act of faithfulness wasn't just a gift to be enjoyed. It was a setup. The entire rescue was designed for a purpose, so that the people, just completely overwhelmed by this display of grace, would respond by living in joyful obedience to Him.
You know, this gets to the very heart of what remembering means in the Bible. This isn't about just looking back with fond memories. Biblical remembrance is an engine for action. The psalmist is retelling the story. He is remembering it for his audience, because recalling what God has done is supposed to fundamentally change how you live right now. It starts in the mind, but it's meant to end in your hands and feet.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question. The psalmist remixed an ancient story to inspire action in his community. It really makes you wonder, what are the stories of faithfulness in our own lives, in our own histories, that are calling out for more than just a passing thought? What does remembering demand of us today?